Hi guys, welcome to another video. Today I want to talk about my mamas or dads who have kids abroad. Okay, so as you guys know, I am American and my husband is Tanzanian. Now, every country is different. You have to look at your laws in your country because some countries have dual citizenship, other countries don't. Tanzania is a country that does not participate in dual citizenship. However, for children that have a parent who's Tanzanian is different, is very different. So basically, my children are Tanzanian. They were born here. And even if they're not born here, if they still have a parent who is Tanzanian, they can still be recognized. Now, when they turn 18, they do have to choose which country they want to have full citizenship with. And I'm really hoping by the time my kids turn 18, Tanzania participates in dual citizenship because, you know, it just would be nice. You know, it would be nice. Like, I don't want my children to choose where they want to be from, where they want to come. You know, like, I don't want that for my kids. And I'm sure you don't want that for your kids. But as of reality, as of 2024, this is what's happening. Okay? So anyways, so my kids got their passports. And I'm going to tell you the process that I went through, okay? So if you Google, this is what I did. Step one was, I just Googled, Tanzanian passport or whatever. And both processes is online. So I'm going to start with the Tanzanian one and then I'm going to do the American one. So for the Tanzanian one, and also be prepared if this is a process that you're going through, get yourself prepared mentally because it's pretty exhausting. So, not that with the government, no matter what government it is ever easy, okay? So first you have to do like an application and all of that is done online. So you do the application, asking for general information, your name, father's name, who's the Tanzanian. You have to upload all the documents. They need passport photos for all of you guys. Now, Tanzania, the background is blue for your passport photos. America, the background is white. So just keep that in mind. So you have to upload those photos. You have to upload your marriage certificate. You have to upload, what else? By the way, this is going to be a part 1 of this video, only because I want to do a part 2 with a lawyer. So that way you guys can hear it from a lawyer, the process of it all. Maybe if you're not in a particular situation like mine. What if you're not married? This is where the lawyer will come in and he will start to tell you all of this information. So for you guys, I will reach out to my lawyer and I will ask him if he can film that video for me. So I think this video will be a part 2. So comment below and let me know what questions you would have if you're in a different situation so I can ask him when I'm shooting the video. Please do that ASAP, okay? So that way I can ask him so we can film this video. So I think that this video will have a part 2, but give me some time so that way I can see your comments. So when I come to him, it can be like, these are all the comments, these are the questions that I want to answer. So I may post this video and then maybe like 4 weeks later, I'll post the other one so I can give you guys as much information as possible. So anyways, so I did the application online. They ask for the babies, like the passport photo. They ask questions like, have they ever had a passport before? They ask you about the parents, if you have, who's the parents for the mother, who's the parents for the father, of your parents. So it would be the children's grandparents. Emergency contact, just like, guys, like a typical application. You submit that, okay? For the Tanzanian passports, you don't pay online, you pay in person. So all you do is submit the application, but you do have to pay a processing fee. I think the processing fee was like 20,000 shillings just for the processing fee, just to send the application. After that, you wait. Then they will contact you, or in a lot of cases, they don't contact you. You have to keep going online to see where your application is. It will say like in progress. First it will say like application submitted. Then it will say in progress. Then it said come to the immigration office. So now we finally got come to the immigration office. Like it took maybe like 3-4 weeks just to come to the immigration office. It took quite a while. So just, plan ahead of time. So we went to the office. Actually, my husband went to the office. I didn't have to be there and the kids didn't have to be there during the first initial because we just wanted to see what it is that they wanted. Maybe we did something wrong. So he went there and they looked at the application. They explained to him what needed to happen. So they explained to him that, if he's the Tanzanian, he needs his birth certificate. We need his birth certificate. You need the parents of his birth certificate, which was kind of wild to me because I was like, man, what if they don't know where their birth certificate is? But then they said you can sign an affidavit to swear that you are Tanzanian, that your parents are Tanzanian. So we were able to get his parents, his mom and dad birth certificate, or get an affidavit. So you do have those two options if like you have no idea where your parents' birth certificate is, things like that. And then obviously you have to pay. Don't quote me on this, but I think we paid like 135 to shillings. Or the U.S. passport. Yeah, we did them all at the same time. So, some of these numbers are a little clouded to me. Or maybe 110,000 it wasn't more than 150. It wasn't more than 150,000 to shillings, okay? That could change, inflation is happening. This is what it was in 2023. I have no idea what it is this year or past that. You'll have to check, but they'll let you know. They ask for you to print out the application. So the application that you did online, you have to print out. And then you also print out that you paid the processing fee. So you have that with you. And then you need, what else do you need? So you have the application that was already printed that you did. There's like a barcode on there and you need that. So they basically give you all that information and they say, come back with that information. So we worked on that. We got that affidavit. And then also they told him that he had to come back with me and the kids because obviously they have to see the children and they have to know that we're like actually real. But what I noticed about the Tanzanian passport was that like I didn't really count. It's so funny because the U.S. passport, I counted a lot. But then the Tanzanian passport, my husband counted a lot, which makes sense because he's Tanzanian, I'm American, so it makes sense. Both parents have to be present in order to have a passport, okay? In this country, in America, those are the rules. Both parents have to be present. So we finally got all the information that they wanted, and then we all went. And one of the things that we did, which, is whatever, but it can save you some money, is we took passport photos with the blue background like we were supposed to, and we printed them. No, honey, don't do that because they like to take their own photos. Don't bring your own photos. They won't accept it. They have a room that are pictures to take it. They take it themselves. Don't waste your money to take your own photos. Don't do it because it's a waste of money. Y'all, I started handing out those passport photos like candy, okay? I was giving it to grandma, I was giving it to grandpa, I was giving it to uncle. I was like, here's some photos of the kids. Because I had nothing to do with the passport photos. We had so many photos and I was like, okay, well, this was a waste of money, but it's fine. You live and you learn. Now you guys can learn from our mistake. So what happened was we gave them the application. They scanned the barcode. Anything that's on the application that's incorrect, they will fix it or they'll tell you to fix it. Then what happens is, by the way, there's no phones or anything like that at immigration, and you have to dress respectable. So for a woman, you should have yourself covered. You must wear things that are past your knees. And for a man, also you have to wear closed shoes. You can't have like sandals or anything. That's at pretty much every government office here in TZ. You have to pretty much dress. It's like going to court. How would you dress in court? It's the same thing here. So they did the application, they stamped everything, they said everything is good. We did an affidavit. So it was like, okay, they recognized him as a Tanzanian. And then we came to his birth certificate, y'all. They said his birth certificate was too old. They said it was too old, that he had to go get a new one. I'm like, come on, man. This was in the 90s. Like, he wasn't born in, 2023. This was in the 90s. So we had to wait again, go to the birth certificate office, apply for him for an updated copy of his birth certificate, of my husband's birth certificate. And then, we had to, wait for that. And that took like 2 weeks for him to get a new birth certificate. So then we went back to immigration, was like, okay, now we have the new birth certificate. So it was his birth certificate, it was the affidavit, the application, and they were happy with that. They were happy with all of that. So then after that, we had to pay. So they give you like a control number. Like they give you a control number, and then you go to like the bank, or they'll give you like a paper that has the process, and then you pay. Once you get the payment, you get the receipt, everything gets stamped, everything gets stapled together. So then you have that. You have to hold on to that paperwork in order to pick up those passports. So that paperwork is very important. Like you have to hold on to it. Okay. After that happened, what did we do? The kids had to go take the pictures. So mind you, the whole time they didn't ask me anything. They didn't talk to me, nothing. They just had my passport. They didn't ask me for my birth certificate or anything. They didn't need pretty much any information from me as the American. Like they wanted to see the birth certificate of the kids. Of course you have to have the kids' birth certificate, and they asked for our marriage certificate. So we had our marriage certificate to show that we were legally married, and then we had the kids' birth certificate, which both of our names are on it. So other than that, they didn't really need anything past me. So then we went into the room where they took the kids' passports, pictures, and of course, everybody was completely in love, with the kids, and they're like, oh my God, they're so cute. And of course, they would not stay still. That's why I wanted to bring the passport photos, because I know that my kids are not gonna stay still. They wouldn't stay still. But whatever, it took us a while, but we finally got the pictures for both of them. After that, normally if you're an adult, they will take your fingerprints. But because of the fact that the kids are babies, they didn't take their fingerprint, and then it says like on the passport, and it says like on the machine that, it's a child, cannot sign. So who signs is the father, if the father's Tanzanian. If the mother's Tanzanian, then the person who's Tanzanian is the one who signs and does their fingerprint. After that, we were done. We just needed to wait for the call. They called us like 2 weeks later, said, hey, the passports are ready. And then we went and we picked it up. That was that. That was for the Tanzanian side. Now let's go to the American side, okay? Lord, you have to fill out, I think, about 3 different forms. And what you do is you email the embassy. You email the U.S. embassy. It's in Dar es Salaam. And you be like, hey, my kids, they were born here in Tanzania. They are Tanzanian. Their father's Tanzanian. I'm American. I want them to be U.S. citizens. Okay? What they do is they will send you a list of things that you need to do. And part of that is filling out these applications. One is like a DS-130 and a DS-11. And mind you, I did it for 2 kids, because I was just like, I don't want to do it for my daughter, and then my son was gonna be born like 2 months later. I was like, I'm just gonna wait and I'm gonna just do them both at the same time. So that's what I did. I waited, and then when they finally came here, when my son was finally born, I was like, okay, let me take care of it. I filled out all the forms, again, all the basic information. Who are you? Who's the father? Blase, blase. It was very repetitive. It was a long form, blase, blase. Okay. Then they ask you for passport photos, but you don't need passport photos until you go in person. It's not like they ask you for the passport photos online, because everything happens via email. So after that, I filled out that form. You also have to prove that you are a U.S. citizen. in order to prove that you are a U.S. citizen, you have to, which I think I'm going to pull out my phone and actually pull up the email for you guys. So, so that way I can give you exactly what they said. So yeah, so what did I do? You have to show your marriage certificate. So I had to send my marriage certificate. You have to prove that you're a U.S. citizen. So you have to show that you've been living in the U.S. for 5 or 7 consecutive years. I don't remember exactly how much it was, but it definitely wasn't less than 5 years. And it has to be over the age of 14. So you have to prove that. So for me, what I did was I gave my college transcripts because that was already 4 years. I showed my college transcript and I showed some tax returns to show that my address, like I had been living there, and that was good enough. So if you have bank statements, if you have Con Edison bills, anything to prove that you are a citizen, you know, is fine. So you send that, you send the application, you send the children's birth certificates, you send your marriage certificate. I didn't need to show my birth certificate, but I did have to prove again my citizenship. I sent my passport, I sent my husband's passport. I think that was it. I emailed them all that information because that's what you have to do. You have to email them all the information, and then they emailed me back and they told me like the mistakes that I made and the things that I need to correct. So I corrected that information and then I emailed it back and they were like, okay, you're all set. You know, you have to pay. The payment was $135. You have to pay $135 plus you need to pay $100 for a birth abroad. So to be recognized, like, you know, for the kids to be recognized that they have been born abroad. So I had to pay all of that. That one is like they give you a bank information, so you go to the bank. They don't give you a control number, but they give you like a bank information and you have to submit that through the bank. So after you pay, then you're able to make the appointment. So then they make you an appointment. Guys, if you're doing it more than one kid and you want an appointment to be at the same time, I would highly encourage you to make the appointment way ahead of time if you're traveling, because this takes time. Like, it takes time, y'all. Like, it takes time. So just be aware of that. You can get things expedited, but it has to be because of an emergency, if there's a health crisis, or like it has to be like, you have to look at the rules as to things, why it can be expedited. Excuse me. What's the reason why things can be expedited? So, you know, if you fall into those categories, great. But we did not fall into those categories. So we just had to wait, which it wasn't a problem for us because, you know, we weren't in a rush to get them. So then after that, they give you an appointment. I had my appointment and and of course, both parents and the kids have to go. That was stressful within itself. So we went, and of course, like, you know, we showed up early. Guys, just because you show up early, they're still not gonna let you in. They don't allow any phones or anything. There's a security in the front who will take your phone. You can go in, and then after you come out, they'll give you your phone back. So you can't take your phone. Parking is terrible over there. It's still terrible. It's very hard to find parking over there, so just keep that in mind. If I were to give you some advice, I would say bring cash. They take to shillings or they take US dollars. Bring cash, y'all. Bring cash. Because, y'all, sorry guys, just a little small break. But I'm back. Okay, so now the actual experience at the embassy. So our appointment was in the morning. No, I'm lying. We showed up in the morning. We showed up at like around 11. Our appointment was around like 2-ish. No, 1:30. It was at 1:30. So we showed up at like 11, you know, just to be proactive, y'all, because we came all the way from Arusha. We've been driving for like 8 to 9 hours. So we showed up the day before, and we had been driving for so long. We're like, we cannot miss this appointment, like, you know, and they had let us know because we had a double appointment that those appointments are rare. So like basically like don't miss your appointment. Otherwise we're gonna have to go back twice. And we didn't want to do that because we're coming all the way from Arusha. It's not easy to just go to Dar. And you don't have a choice, y'all. Like there's no virtual, you have to go to Dar es Salaam. You have to go to Dar es Salaam. That's just it. That's just what it is. You have to go to Dar es Salaam. So we were like, okay. What happened was, we got there and they were like, you know, you're there early. And so here's the thing. Learn from us. Here's the thing. When you make your appointment, because I don't know the actual reason why you can't make an appointment online. People who do like renewals and you're a US citizen, all that stuff, you could just make an appointment online and security has that list printed. They have that list printed. When you're emailing them personally, which is what you're required to do, they don't have that printed. So it is your job to make sure that you have the email where they told you that this is your appointment and this is the time. And we didn't have that. So they basically was just like, you don't have an appointment. And I almost had to check myself because I almost was about to go nuts, y'all, because it was not easy traveling with kids in the car screaming and unhappy because we're in the car for over 10 hours, like almost 10 hours, 8 to 10 hours. Like it was not easy. And now I'm here, you're gonna tell me that we ain't got no appointment? Now we got an appointment. Like, and I had to like check myself because I knew that like I was at a government office, but like I almost was about to lose my mind. And at that moment, I just emailed the embassy, was like, hey, I'm here. And they're saying I don't have an appointment. Thank God we went early. So we didn't miss our appointment for all of these hiccups because of the fact that we were there early. So we were able to run, go to a stationery, print out the fact that we actually have an appointment. And he saw it on my phone of the email and the appointment, but he was like, no, it has to be printed. I still don't understand why, because they didn't even keep the printout. Like they just saw and was like, okay. I'm like, you could have did that on my phone. But anyways, they wanted to print it. So guys, if you have an appointment with the embassy, print out your appointment. Just do it. Print out your appointment because you don't want to have to run around like we did. We ran around like 4 times that day, and I'm going to tell you our hiccups and the mistakes that we made and all that stuff, okay? That was one of them. When we first got there, they were saying we don't have an appointment. I was like, yes, we do. Trust me, I would not mess this up, because I started second guessing myself, like, did I mess it up? Did I get the day wrong? How can I do that after I dragged these kids all the way out here? You know, like I really was like freaking out. And then I realized, no, this is the appointment. But then I realized that the reason why we're not on the schedule that they have is because we didn't make the appointment online. We made the appointment via email. Anyways, we printed it out. They finally let us in. So when you go in, there's like a long walkway. You go to the walkway and then there's a bunch of seats. Basically, you just sit there. You sit there and they have a few people coming at a time. But because we had kids, they let us in right away, which was so nice. I was like, yay! Because y'all, when I tell you my kids' tolerance were like, get me out of here. Like, I'm over it. It was a lot for them. It really was a lot for them. Oh, another thing I forgot to say. The Tanzanian passport for kids is 10 years. 10 years. Thank you, God. 10 years. I don't have to go through this until 10 more years. It's for 10 years. Yes. Yes. But the US one is only for 5 years. So just keep that in mind. Okay. Anyways. So what happens? We get in and then they make us wait, y'all. They make us wait. And what happens? We had all our paperwork. We had everything. We had everything prepared. And I had already emailed them. That's what's kind of nice though, is because you've emailed them, you know that all your information is cool, because they would have told you. And I think that's why they do it, is because they don't want you to come all the way over here and drag your kids and then you don't even have everything that they're asking you for. So I think they do the whole email thing so that way they can make sure that you have everything, so you don't waste their time and I don't waste their time, all of that stuff. So yeah. So then there's like a section, there's like an interview office where you go inside of, and that's where they basically like do your stuff or whatever. So mind you guys, I planned this. This was already said. This was there, okay? I go into the office. When I go into the office, the lady comes. There's a woman who comes, and she asks for all the paperwork. She was really nice. Like, she asked for all the paperwork, and she was like, okay. I was ready, y'all. I had highlights. I had sticky notes. I was ready. I had everything prepared. So she saw everything, and she asked. She was like, okay, this is for two. Application. We were like, yeah, and for their birth abroad. Da 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 da. So she was like, okay. So she took all the paperwork, and then she was like, okay. And she had us wait there, which was nice because it was like a private little office. She had us wait there. What happened? She was on the computer and okay, you guys can go pay now. You guys can go pay now. Okay, now we wanted to pay with card because we didn't bother to take out cash because we knew they took card. Here we are, Lord. We go to the cashier to go pay card, and the card is not going through. And we're like, we know that there's money in there. Like, we know that. Like, we absolutely know that. Like, you know what I'm saying? We have a bank account right here in Tanzania, and it's really my husband's account. And he knew. He was like, no, the money is in there. Like, the money is in there. Like, what do you mean it's not going through? Excuse me, guys. Hold on. Yeah, I was stressed. Y'all. It was a mess. Okay. We knew the money was there. They were like, the car's not working. The car's not working. The car's not working. So we were like, oh, no, we have to find an ATM. So my husband's like, you stay here with the kids, and then I'm going to go to the ATM. She told us how much the total was. She wrote it down. Everything was cool. Blase, blase, boom, 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 bada, bada, bam, bada, da, 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 done. Okay. So he left. And then she was like, just make sure that you come back before 3 o'clock because the cashier is closed. Or it wasn't 3 o'clock. I think it was 4 o'clock. And it was already like 3:30. So I was like, babe, like, be quick. Like, go to the ATM real quick. Be quick. I'm not talking on the phone. I'm doing a video, babe. Sorry, y'all. So anyway, so what happened was, so I was like, babe, go quick. Go get, just go get the money real quick and then come back like quick, Oh, and then, oh my God, I forgot about that issue. And then the passport photos. So for the U.S. Embassy, you have to bring passport photos. Okay, so the passport photos. So everybody over here says that they do passport photos. Yeah, we do passport, Tanzanian passport photos, U.S. passport photos. Oh, it wasn't the right size, okay? It was. I worked so hard to get these kids to look so cute on their passport photos. And, like, I slicked my son's hair and, y'all, I felt like, what? And also me, that day I had put on makeup. I was looking so cute for my passport photo. So I felt like there was like, what? The size was incorrect. So please, please, please be mindful. Okay, because people, they will sell you anything. They will say, yeah, I can do U.S. passport. Y'all, I'm telling you, we had so many passport photos. We were handing them out like candy because it just kept being wrong. And the U.S. Embassy does not play it. It has to be the correct size. So they were like, we need to take new photos. But because I love those photos so much, I told my husband to try to blow them up and see if we can get it the right size. We tried that. The photos were coming out not clear. The embassy was not happy with that. So they were like, we had to retake photos. And of course, we had been there all day. We were sweating. We weren't looking cute. And I was like, I gotta take photos now? I'm not ready for this. Okay, so let's go back to the bank thing. So we run to the bank, and the bank was so far from the embassy, y'all. The closest ATM to the embassy is ridiculously far. So please just bring cash. Please just bring cash to save your headache. He finally came back, like right on time. And I noticed, because I'm in the embassy, that everybody's card is being declined. And I'm like, ma'am, I think it's your machine. She's like, yeah. She said, yeah, I think the machine is down. I said, so everybody is running out to go get cash and the ATM is so far. I was like, you know, some of us have come really far. Like, it's not fair that your machine is not working and then you're going to close. So then we can't get our passports because you're going to and it's your machine that's not working. So I guess she heard what I said and she was just like, no, I'm gonna wait until you guys come back with the cash. So anyways, my husband wound up coming up, and then, oh my God, this day was so stressful. She miscalculated. She was like, oh, actually, it's this amount of money, not this. And I was like, Remember, I don't have no phone. I'm in the embassy. I don't have a phone. I can't call my husband and be like, babe, take more cash out because actually the total was this. So I have to wait until he comes back. To then tell him he has to get more cash. And if he doesn't have enough cash, he has to go back to it. Yo, I was over it. I was so over it. So now there I am with anxiety, like, oh, when is he coming back? He finally comes back and I'm like, babe, please tell me you have enough cash. It's actually this amount. He's like, what did he say? I think he did. I think he had enough cash in the car, but he left it in the car. He took the exact amount and then left the rest in the car. So he still had to go back to go to the car to get more money. But at this point, we weren't that stressed because of the fact that, but again, we can't actually finish the process and go to the actual person who's going to interview us until we pay. So this is just stopping the whole process. And it's me and a few other mothers there just sitting there like, this is ridiculous. Like, our men are out running to ATMs because their card machine is not working. Like, I mean, you could have gave us all of the guys, just bring cash. Just bring cash. So my husband went back to go get the thing. So we finally paid. We got the receipt. Cool. We were done with that. Now we're sitting there and we're waiting. When we go to the interview, they just ask you just a bunch of general information. You know, who's the U.S. Embassy? They ask you all of this stuff. I think, don't quote me on this, I don't remember, but I think I had to do my fingerprints. But I'm not 100% sure because, again, we did them at the same time. So I don't know if it was just a Tanzanian one where we had to do fingerprints, but it's possible that I had to do my fingerprints. I had to show them all the information that I told them via email and give them everything. And then they were like, okay, it's going to take about, and I also did a renewal for me because I needed to renew my passport, which was a very easy process. After that, what happened? Everything was done and they were like, okay, we were the last people there. 5 o'clock, we were the last people there. And they were like, okay, we will email you when to pick up your stuff. You can pick up your stuff yourself. And I asked them, I was like, well, we live all the way in Arusha. Do we have to be the ones to pick it up? Or like, can we have somebody else? Because my husband's sister lives in Dar es Salaam. So I know she can pick it up and she can bring it to Arusha. So they were like, yes, somebody else can pick it up, but they have to have your old passport because they have to make your old passport invalid. And they have to come with a letter saying that, you're allowing them to pick it up. So, yeah, that's what happened. That's the information they give you. And then they said it will be ready. I wound up getting an email that the passports were ready. Maybe about 2 or 3 weeks later. It came pretty fast. But the actual birth abroad thing took like 8 weeks, 8 to 9 weeks. I was like very surprised. Oh, they also make you sign paperwork that says that you never applied for Social Security before for the kids. So you do have to sign that off. You do not get the Social Security number there. That's a whole different other process that I haven't done yet. You still have to apply for them for a Social Security number, and that's like a whole other thing that once I do, then I will give you guys that information, but I have not done it yet, and I don't want to give misinformation. So that was my process. Finally, we have all of the kids' passports, and we have we're good to go. My husband has his U.S. visa. That was a pretty intense process too. Yeah, and we have a trip coming up, and you guys are going to see all of that very soon too, which is very exciting, very, very, very exciting, super exciting. Like, we are like so excited about it. Yeah, and I got my renewal. My renewal was pretty easy. It was pretty easy. All I had to do was just fill out an application and give my old passport, and 2 weeks I had a new passport. So it was pretty easy. And the really exciting thing was, so me and my husband got married. I didn't want to change my name on my passport because I didn't want to spend the money. I was being cheap. I was like, ugh, to spend the money just to change my name, I want to wait till it expires. So officially now on my renewal passport, I have my husband's last name, and I am really excited about that. Yeah, I'm really excited about that. I am definitely a person that wanted to take my husband's last name, and yeah. And it's so funny because when we got our plane tickets to the US, it like hit my husband in reality, because, you know, we looked at the, you know how you have the names and then they give you like a summary, and when we did that, he was like, oh my God, everybody has my last name. Like, it feels good. Like, you know, I have a family. And I was like, yes, baby. We all got your last name. Very exciting. So I hope that information was useful. If you're going through the process, you know, let me know what was different for you. And I hope that information was useful, and just, it's like going to the DMV, y'all. Just give a whole day to get this done. Just give it a day to just focus on this, because there can be mishaps. You may have to run out and go back, you know, and all that stuff. And we still had to go back the next day. We did go back the next day, first thing in the morning, to give them new photos, because they didn't like the fact that the photos was too blurry. It was the right size, but it was too blurry. So we had to take brand new photos, and there is a Shoppers right next to the embassy, and upstairs they do passport photos, and they were really nice, and they were the right size, they were clear, they were everything. So I don't remember how much we spent on the photos, so I can't let you know that, but it wasn't expensive. It wasn't expensive to take a picture, and then they give you 4 photos. I think they give you 4 photos, something like that. But it's at a Shoppers right next to the US Embassy. Like, you can't miss it. Yeah, so, you know, be careful, man, because a lot of people will tell you, yeah, we do US passport photos, and then they come and they give you something that you think is right just because the white background, but it doesn't meet the criteria. Oh my God, I was so annoyed. I was like, oh my God, this day feels like it's never gonna end. But then when I finally got the passport to my hand, I felt so relieved. I was like, oh my God, it's done. I don't have to worry about it for another 5 years, for the US one, for the Tanzanian one. I don't have to worry about it for 10 years, so I'm done. It's finished. It's done. I'm sweating right now thinking about how much running around we did that day. But it's exciting that, you know, my kids are mixed, and they have, you know, they have parents from 2 different countries and stuff, you know. That's the path that God chose for us, and, you know, we're making the best of it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!